What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we're going to be taking a deep look at the boot gear slot in Modern Warfare 3, because this is an area where I've done some basic testing in the beta as well as when the game first launched, but nothing too in-depth, and the simple reason behind this is Covert Sneakers are always the clear choice. However, now that we have the Ninja Vests available, this allows us to branch out into the other boots without putting yourself at a massive disadvantage by having extremely loud footsteps that everybody hears. And therefore, I wanted to dive deep into these boots to find out which ones are best to use alongside that Ninja Vest. So let's dive right into this, and I wanted to start this off with the tactical pads. With these, it states that it increases our slide velocity, allows for aiming down sight while sliding, and it increases our stance transition speeds and crouched movement speed. So let's start this off with slide velocity. First off, looking at it in first person, and honestly, I can't really tell that much of a difference, if any difference at all here. It at least appears to be essentially the same. I'm sure there is some minor difference here, but it's not like a night and day difference. It's not like you're going to immediately notice a huge change to your sliding when you end up putting these boots on. However, I thought maybe in third person this is going to be different. So maybe it makes you a harder target to hit in third person, and it's just such a subtle change in first person that you can't really tell. But once again, even looking at it in third person, it looks essentially the same with or without tac pads. So I would say this particular benefit that you gain from this is so minor that it's pretty much negligible. In saying that, we do get a clear benefit in the sense that we can fully aim down sight while sliding, and this is something you actually will notice. Without tactical pads, you'll automatically go into a tac stance while sliding, which still tightens up your spread nicely compared to just hip firing in a slide, but it's not going to be nearly as accurate as fully aiming down sight while in a slide, so that's a clear benefit to using the tactical pads, but fairly situational. Next, let's talk about that stance transition speed. And the first thing I want to show off is crouch spamming. It's not quite snaking, this is just full-on crouch spamming. And if you pay really close attention, you can definitely perform this action a bit faster with these tactical pads on. And this is noticeable in both first person as well as third person. You can see the enemy player is bouncing around a lot quicker when using the tactical pads. Next, let's have a look at drop shotting, since that is technically a stance change. And in first person, even when we slow it down, it appears to be identical when it comes to our ability to drop shot. However, I did want to see what this looks like from the enemy's perspective. And at normal speed, it looks basically the same. However, when we slow the footage down, you can see there is a minor difference here. You can drop shot a little bit faster with tactical pads, but honestly, this difference is small enough that I would say it's not likely to alter the outcome of very many situations. And therefore, all we have left to look at with the tactical pads is the fact that it improves our crouch movement speed, and based on my testing, you actually get around the map about 30% faster when crouching while using these tactical pads. So that is a very noticeable difference if you're planning on crouch walking around. But then again, this is Call of Duty, and most people aren't going to be crouch walking around the map like crazy. So in all, while tactical pads have a lot of different effects, most of those effects are either negligible or just really situational effects. So unless you're planning on sliding into gunfights a lot and wanting to get aim down sight, or if you want to try like crouch spamming on a piece of cover against somebody, sure, these might help you a little bit, but realistically speaking, you're probably going to get a lot more benefits out of the other boots. So let's move on to the next pair of boots, and these are the climbing boots. And with these, it just states that you get increased climbing and mantling speed, and it reduces fall damage. So let's start off with mantling, and on a low mantle right here, while the animation itself looks identical, one thing to note here is if you pay close attention to the hipfire reticle, it actually tightens up much faster after mantling with climbing boots compared to without climbing boots. So that means you're going to be a lot more accurate after a low mantle. Additionally, if we look at a quick double mantle situation right here, the climbing boots will get you up on top of that noticeably faster. And then another thing is if we have a higher mantle and we want to fire immediately as soon as possible once we mantle up, you'll notice that with climbing boots, we are able to fire noticeably sooner. Also, from a third person perspective, watching somebody mantle here, you can tell that that animation is a bit faster as well. They get their gun up and they're ready to go a bit faster after that mantle. So there are some minor benefits there when it comes to mantling. Next, let's talk about fall damage. And something I've noticed is on the 6v6 maps in this game, I was unable to find a height that you can fall from that will kill you from full health. In saying that though, if you have taken some damage, you can definitely die from a variety of falls. But I just wanted to point out here at 14 meters, when I'm not using these climbing boots, you can see that it appears I take quite a bit of damage. There's a lot of that blood on the screen after I land, and I'm pretty much one shot at this point, whereas with climbing boots, it seems we take very little damage. There's almost no red that pops up. There's a very small amount briefly, but you'd still be able to soak up multiple shots before going down here. So that's the climbing boots, and again, just like with the tack pads, I'm just not seeing any real significant benefits here. The benefits that you do gain are quite minor and also very situational. Next, let's talk about the running sneakers, and these increase your tack sprint duration and they reduce the refresh time on that tactical sprint. And taking a look at the duration first, you can see when not using these sneakers, we only get 2.5 seconds of tack sprint with a regular gun in our hands, whereas with the running sneakers, this will last for a total of 5 seconds. So it actually doubles the amount of time that we're able to stay in tack sprint, which will definitely get you from point A to point B on a longer route a lot faster. Then let's talk about that reduced refresh time. And what I did here in this clip is I tack sprinted until I ran out of tack sprint, and then immediately I was spamming to get back into tack sprint as soon as possible. I measured the delay that it takes to get back into tack sprint while doing this, and it's pretty much the same with or without these running sneakers. However, what I noticed is during that 2-second time, we're regenerating a lot more tack sprint, and when we get back into tack sprint, you're able to maintain that for noticeably longer when using these running sneakers. And that's pretty much it for the running sneakers. It's pretty basic and straightforward, however, also very beneficial, because this is the type of thing you can take advantage of on a very consistent basis, unlike the previous boots we've looked at so far, which tend to be a lot more situational. Now, let's move on to the next pair of boots. These are the Stalker Boots, which I was really excited for with this game, but unfortunately, they're just not as good as I hoped they would be. And with these ones, they just state that they increase your strafe and aim down sight movement speed. So taking a quick look at it right here, with our aim down sight strafe speed, we are able to cover this 20-meter distance noticeably faster with Stalker Boots. And this will also apply when hip firing. You will strafe in a hip fire faster with Stalker Boots as well. However, something I wanted to point out here that doesn't quite line up with what the description states is this doesn't help with your aim walking movement speed unless you're strafing. So unless you're moving laterally, it doesn't actually do anything for you. Your aim walking movement speed while moving forward is exactly the same as if you don't have these Stalker Boots, and therefore it's only going to help you with side-to-side movement. Now, in the game's current state with Stalker Boots, it will boost our aim down sight strafe speed by 20%, which may seem like a nice boost, and it is a noticeable boost, but it's nothing too crazy. It's definitely not like the Stalker perk from the original Modern Warfare 3. And then based on my testing, when we're not aiming down sight and we're strafing, we're moving roughly 13.5% faster, at least with a Striker SMG in my hand. And just to take that one step further, I wanted to show you guys what this looks like from a third-person perspective. This is what it looks like when the enemy isn't using Stalker Boots and they're using a base Striker with no attachments. And now this is what it looks like with that exact same setup, but now they've got these Stalker Boots equipped. And you can see they're definitely moving a little bit faster, but it isn't anything too crazy here. So Stalker Boots are unfortunately not nearly as good as I'd like to see them. However, if you're going specifically for a strafing build where you put a bunch of attachments on your gun that are designed to improve your aim walking speed, and then you stack that on top of Stalker Boots, that can definitely give you a pretty solid strafe speed overall. So there is definitely some potential with these boots at least. And this just leaves us with lightweight boots. And with these, it improves our movement speeds across the board. So our base walking speed is about 6% faster. Our sprint speed is about 5% faster. Our aim down sight forward speed is about 2.75% faster, which again, the Stalker Boots don't even help with that. And our aim down sight strafe speed is about 4.7% faster. So not nearly as fast as with the Stalker Boots there, but we do still see an improvement to our strafe speed while aiming down sight. And then something that I hadn't tested until this video, but I was really surprised to see, is our swim sprint speed. So if you're swimming and you activate like a sprint essentially, we actually swim 30% faster with these lightweight boots. This is a massive improvement. You can see that difference is night and day. And I really just didn't realize it was that powerful with swimming. But at the end of the day, if you're playing 6v6, you're probably not going to be swimming too often because most of the maps don't even have the ability to swim. However, it is just something I wanted to point out. The lightweight boots are excellent because they're just always working for you. As long as you're moving, the lightweight boots are doing something to help you. And with that, that is going to wrap it up for the breakdown of all of the boots in this game. Aside from, of course, the Covert Sneakers, which I have done a full breakdown on in the past. Nothing's really changed with that. And I will leave that linked in the description if you guys haven't seen that video and you're interested in checking it out. But overall, if I am using the Ninja Vest and therefore I've got silent footsteps covered, which boots will I go for? Well, it does generally depend on what kind of playstyle I'm aiming for. Like I said, if I'm stacking really heavily into aim walking movement speed attachments, then I will combine that with the Stalker Boots and the Ninja Vest. And I actually find that can make for a really nice build if you do that. However, I would also say both the lightweight boots as well as the running sneakers, those are both excellent for getting around the map faster, and I would say those are also a solid choice to combine with the Ninja Vest. Unfortunately, when it comes to the tack pads or the climbing boots, In my eyes at least, these don't provide enough of a benefit on a consistent basis and in a wide variety of situations to ever really consider using them. And like I've been saying, essentially since the beta of this game, I'd really love to see some improvements to some of the other boots in this game to improve their viability and their competitiveness with the Covert Sneakers and also just with each other in general. I'd like to see some other playstyles open up and some more interesting things that you'd be able to do with these. But of course, these are just my opinions, and I'd love to hear from you guys in those comments down below. How are you guys feeling about the boots outside of Covert Sneakers in Modern Warfare 3? If you are using the Ninja Vest, for instance, which pair of these boots are you going to lean toward? Also, do you agree with me? Do you think some of these boots could really use some buffs to make them a bit more viable? Or do you think the balance is just fine as is? If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.